Letter 28 to Thomas Pennant, Esquire, Selborne, March, 1770. On Michaelmas Day, 1768, I managed to get a sight of the female moose belonging to the Duke of Richmond at Goodwood, but was greatly disappointed when I arrived at the spot to find that it died after having appeared in a languishing way for some time on the morning before. However, understanding that it was not stripped, I proceeded to examine this rare quadruped. I found it in an old greenhouse, slung under the belly and chin by ropes, and in a standing posture. But though it had been dead for so short a time, it was in so putrid a state that the stench was hardly supportable. The grand distinction between this deer and any other species that I have ever met with consisted in the strange length of its legs, on which it was tilted up much in the manner of birds of the grallae order. I measured it, as they do a horse, and found that from the ground to the wither it was just 5 feet 4 inches, which height answers exactly to 16 hands, a growth that few horses arrive at. But then, with this length of legs, its neck was remarkably short, no more than 12 inches, so that by straddling with 1 foot forward and the other backward, it grazed on the plain ground with the greatest difficulty between its legs. The ears were vast and lopping, and as long as the neck. The head was about 20 inches long, and ass-like, and had such a redundancy of upper lip as I never saw before, with huge nostrils. This lip, travellers say, is esteemed a dainty dish in North America. It is very reasonable to suppose that this creature supports itself chiefly by browsing of trees and by wading after water plants, towards which way of livelihood the length of leg and great lip must contribute much. I have read somewhere that it delights in eating the nymphaea, or water-lily. From the 4 feet to the belly behind the shoulder it measured 3 feet and 8 inches. The length of the legs before and behind consisted a great deal in the tibia, which was strangely long. But in my haste to get out of the stench, I forgot to measure that joint exactly. Its scut seemed to be about 1 inch long. The colour was a grisly black. The mane about 4 inches long. The fore hoofs were upright and shapely, the hind flat and splayed. The spring before it was only 2 years old, so that most probably it was not then come to its growth. What a vast tall beast must a full-grown stag be! I have been told some arrive at 10 feet and a half. This poor creature had at first a female companion of the same species, which died the spring before. In the same garden was a young stag, or red deer, between whom and this moose it was hoped that there might have been a breed. But their inequality of height must have always been a bar to any commerce of the amorous kind. I should have been glad to have examined the teeth, tongue, lips, hoofs, etc., minutely, but the putrefaction precluded all further curiosity. This animal, the keeper told me, seemed to enjoy itself best in the extreme frost of the former winter. In the house they showed me the horn of a male moose, which had no front antlers, but only a broad palm with some snags on the edge. The noble owner of the dead moose proposed to make a skeleton of her bones. Please to let me hear if my female moose corresponds with what you... Please to let me hear if my female moose corresponds with that you saw, and whether you think still that the American moose and European elk are the same creature. I am, with the greatest esteem, etc.